Hi, guys.
Hi.
Do you want to introduce yourselves? Like, who's who?
Sure. I'm Naveed. Mari, I'm the singer and I play guitar as well.
I'm Gibran. I play guitar.
Ryan Hobbs, I play bass and some vocals.
Some vocals.
Yeah. Midge.
Yep. We're missing our drummer, Steve. We've been playing music with him. Hobbs and I have been playing music with him for almost 11, 12 years or something, but he couldn't make it today. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you've got a Steve here, so we're all good.
You want to be our new drummer?
I'm standing Steve.
Honorary
Steve. Yeah. Well, nice to meet you all. I'm excited to talk to you because I kind of stumbled across your music. I can't even remember where. I think somebody mentioned you on Twitter, and it was somebody whose opinion I kind of respect. So I went and checked you guys out, and I was just like blown away by what you've done so far.
Appreciate it.
And I know it's very early days, but you mentioned that some of you have been playing for a long time together. Like, Can you tell me about like how you all met in the beginning, how you ended up in Design Flaw?
Sure. Well, Ryan Hobbs down there and I have been playing together for 12 or so years. We were in a band called Technicians for years in DC, playing mostly the same set list for far too long. And we eventually, that band sort of fizzled out. But before that happened, I met Gibran at a show that he was playing with his band Lanternfish, and was, completely blown away by him. And we hit it off, and him and I decided to start making music together. And, long story short, it just worked out where Hobbs was, looking to play again, and we needed a bassist. And I knew my relationship with Hobbs was so great. And Steve was already playing with us too. And Steve was in that band Technician. So it was like, they're basically my family. Musically, we speak each other's language so well. And Gibran and I work so well together. It just made a lot of sense.
So what kind of music were you playing in your previous bands?
You want to cover that?
Well, Technicians is sort of an amalgam of lots of stuff that we liked. We didn't have a lot of focus, but it was, we called it post-punk shoegaze, but it was, I don't know what it was. It was a lot of stuff.
I think if you can't pinpoint the sound, that usually means you're onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was playing in a band called Lanternfish, and we played a couple shows with Technicians, I think.
Yep.
Lanternfish was also, it was heavily influenced by 90s alternative rock, grunge, that kind of stuff, but definitely more, I don't even really, I think we were just alternative rock, alt rock.
Yeah, well, the genre alternative rock, to me, like you mentioned grunge, and it kind of takes me back to that early 90s, that wave of bands that came in the early 90s. But alternative rock these days,
it's so different.
It's a whole different thing, and it's just pop to me.
Yeah, 100% agree.
It's kind of weird. So when you guys got together to make this band, what did you have some kind of conversation about how you wanted it to sound, and do you feel like you've achieved that?
I make this joke frequently that I had been courting Naveed for several years, but Naveed's also in another group called Drop Electric, and we played a couple shows with him and Technicians, and so I knew Hobbs and I knew Steve from those groups as well. And at the time, Naveed just has a killer screaming vocal performance. I was not super into screamo music in general. I think early on I kind of was, but in a different, more of a pop punk kind of sense. And Naveed's performances with these two bands, specifically with Drop Electric as well, it just opened my eyes to like, oh wow, that's the kind of music I want to try and make. But I was getting really heavily into post-rock at the time. Had always been very influenced by post-rock. And I think it's like, Naveed, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were kind of just like, what if we did post-rock with more screaming vocals and black metal vocals was kind of like the approach. I don't know what genre that is. I'm sure there's a name for it now. But
we need to come up with one.
Well, we've been called Post Everything recently. We really like that.
Yeah.
Post everything. Yeah, I like that.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
We I'm a guitarist. I feel like I'm a guitarist first, even before a singer. So like post rock is the most fun music for me to play. I'm a designer, so I sit down and listen to post rock all day long while I work. It's, I like live and breathe that stuff. And when Jerron and I first started talking about, it was like, oh, finally someone with like that musical vision wants to make music with me. And he's like a guitar hero, so it was a no brainer. It's like so much fun playing with him. And we just really wanted to, like, I think we were both tired of putting stuff out that we weren't super proud of and like really in love with. And we decided that if we were going to do this, like we wanted to just like go full on with the vision that we had. And we've been, it's been what, like 3 years or something that we've been working on it. Yeah.
And it happened really kind of organically too, just from, like you said, the two bands going, or one band going separate, and then Jabron wanted to start another band, and Naveed and Jabron really got together, had this whole idea, and then slowly started putting people in, and actually people started falling out after that too. So As they were falling out, we were plugged into it. So even from, you didn't have that stagnant thing where me and Steve were coming in with the way that we were in the other band. We actually evolved, because it was like, Steve came in, I think 6 months later, and then I was about a year later after you guys were really down the road to something. So instead of having all that old influence, it actually was a brand new organic thing. It was really refreshing.
Yeah. And what kind of bands were you all listening to, like around that time when you started getting together?
Oh man,
what kind of bands did you agree on?
That's a good question, because there's not that many.
Okay.
Cult of Luna.
Yeah, it was a big one at the time.
Failure was one that I was listening to heavily when I first joined with you guys.
Failure. I think
Naveed and I went to we met up at a Mogwai show that was kind of around that time. Yeah. And then there were a few others. I mean, like
vocally, like Deafheaven and Holy Fawn were pretty big, like screamy influences for sure, and just musical influences. The vibes are exactly in line with what we love. And I think the Tool album came around the time we were
that was a little later on, but it was definitely like the Holy Fawn. I remember listening to Holy Fawn for the first time. I think my buddy Rob introduced me to them, and we had just started playing together, and I was just like, whoa, this is incredible.
Should we even do this? These guys have already presented.
I think we had that conversation.
Oh, I'd say Pelican too. Pelican was another band I was listening at that time.
Okay, that's interesting, because I can kind of see little bits of all these bands that you're mentioning colliding together in what you guys are doing, which is always, that's not to say that you're stealing ideas. It's just that you take all these influences from a big sphere and then it meets in the middle and creates something brand new. And I think that's totally what you're doing at the moment. Now, so you mentioned that you were a designer, so I'm guessing that's where the name came from.
Well, it doesn't hurt that it like was in line with what I like, but no, we were banging our head against the wall for I don't know so long, and we're having arguments and like, this name's kind of cool, and I'd be like, no, that's dumb, or vice versa, whatever. We were so close, and like my wife just like one day was just like, Design Flaw is pretty cool.
Okay.
And that was it.
That's the problem.
It was Femur and Design Flaw, and Femur was taken. Huh?
You have the problem with like four people being in a band and have been in the music industry for a long time at this point. So it's like everyone has real strong opinions. They've played with some band that they hate that name, or some, some other thing, or some other friend that they've been playing with has had it. So it took a while. I think we had more music done than we did have a band name.
I think like having somebody not in the band come up with it was helpful, so that it wasn't like I'm not gonna let them win with their idea.
Yeah, because I would love to have been in the room with certain bands when they actually decided on their name. You're kind of like, how did that even happen? Like the one that I always mention is Korn.
Oh yeah.
Like, can you imagine that conversation with those guys around the table going, I've got an idea. Corn. What, like the vegetable? Yeah, but with a K and
With
the
a
R.
K.
Like,
I think you got it.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
But it worked.
And you know
now,
what? It worked.
Yeah, and now when people talk about corn, nobody goes, "What, corn like the vegetable?"
That was another band that was we left this off the list earlier, but Russian Circles was one that I think we pretty heavily, Russian Circles and Caspian, but that name, Russian Circles, no idea where I haven't looked, but that's another one where I feel like, where did this name come from? Why did you decide on this name exactly?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of a cliched question for me to ask bands, and a lot of the time I try and avoid it. But I only mentioned it because you mentioned that you're a designer. But if I ever get to speak to Korn, that's my first question. I mean, maybe
one of you a corn.
There's probably an answer out there on the internet somewhere. Maybe I should just go and look. But there you go. So, can you remember? Like, I think I've heard 3 songs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you remember like a catalyst moment where you started writing music and you were like, "This is it. This is where we want to go."
For sure. I remember those moments, pinpointing it. We had a few, I think.
I mean, I know we had about 7. So because it was different iterations of the band and different people joining in at different times, we had a lot of project files that were like 7, 8, 10 songs. And so what would happen is, as soon as like I came in, all of a sudden I would add a different flavor to something, and everybody would be like, wait, are we doing this way or what are we doing that? So it became a lot of conversations that way. But I know like with Ghost, it was just a riff that just took off.
I think it was Ghost. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like the simplicity of it. We just locked into that, just the simplicity of the opening couple minutes. Probably not technically simple to play, especially for Gibran, but like it sounds kind of simple. And it was just a groove that we locked into and we built on it. And I think that was the moment where like all 4 of us were like, aha, like the band works now. Because before, like Ryan was saying, it was, I'm going to come into this band. They have like 7 songs that another bassist was on, or this other drummer had been on before. And do I just do that? Do I do what I do? So that we had to take some time to get there, which is just really just hanging out and jamming. And we did that once a week, basically all through 2020, which was a lifesaver. And it just grew. And Ghost was the first, and then we wrote Silence and Andromeda, and the rest that you'll hear eventually. Yeah,
the 3 songs that we've heard so far, are we going to be surprised by the 4th or not?
I think so.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah.
It's intent. The whole Ghost started as a song that we were calling Piano Bear at first, because it reminded us of the guitar line that Naveed plays with the single notes, reminded us of Minus the Bear, and the drumming style that Steve was playing reminded us of Pianos Become the Teeth, which is a Baltimore band that we love. But so that was really, I remember that recording. We would do these voice memos in our practice space on my iPhone or on Naveed's phone, and kind of position it in a place where we could just get a good enough recording that we could listen back to it later and say, hey, did this suck? Was it as good as we thought it was? But I remember being in our practice space, which is this storage unit in Northeast DC, and just thinking, this is going to be a song. This is probably the best thing we've played yet. And so I think I had the very similar feeling with Silence as well, because Silence and Ghost came together really fast. And Andromeda, I think we had been writing for a little bit. We had a previous file. I actually went back and looked, and we called it Alcest Jam, because it was our longest song. And it was reminded us of like a, post-rock black metal band, and we all love Alcest. But those, we purposely crafted the songs so that they would fit together on an EP. That was, we were very intentional about that. We thought about the order, and the order that we ended up settling on. And then kind of in between, I think I was at home and I had this idea, and I kind of sent it out as like, hey, what if this piece, I don't know if we can say the name or not, Naveed or Hops, but it's a song called Dusk. And it was like, what if this song was a bridge between the first half of the EP, and it's short, and the second half, or the ending, which is, is Andromeda. And what started as an idea that would be just an instrumental bridge, Naveed threw vocals on it, and that's going to be the fourth song. But it's different.
It's kind of like a post-rock indie trip-hop song or something. I don't know. It's cool. I like it a lot.
And then, I'm excited to hear that already. Like you say, post everything.
Everything.
Well, and the fun thing about the EP too is it's actually it's meant to be a whole listen together. It's not meant to be song after song after song. It really is meant to be, you listen to the whole thing in one sitting.
Yeah. So you think about the order. So the EP is called Beasts of Future Decay, right?
Yep.
Tell me about that title.
Well, I think we were writing it in 2020, right? So this was right when, especially when I started writing the lyrics, it was probably mid 2020. There was a lot of heaviness on my soul. I think on a lot of people's souls. Obviously COVID. It was everyone. We weren't seeing people besides each other, really, and our family. And there was a lot of stuff going on politically. People were really angry at each other. I think what I sort of saw happen was everyone rushing to social media to just shit on each other constantly. And it was really bumming me out. And I felt like it was sort of like, everything I sort of thought I knew about what was right or what people should do or say to help each other. And I was kind of questioning everything. And I was like, is this kind of like the beginning of the end for humanity? I watched a thing called, oh my God, what was it? It was on Netflix. It was about social media, and they interviewed people who created it.
I think
and it really like talked about how the algorithms work and how they're designed to make us, we're the product being sold, right? And it just really bummed me out again. I think a lot of these songs sort of speak to the sort of apocalyptic, like, what can be done? Are we going to be able to overcome this? Like, is there any hope? And it's pretty dark for sure, but that's where I was at during that time.
And you're based in DC, so you're like in the heart of the political part of America. So it's hard to escape, I guess. I'm not saying you live in the White House or anything, but
no, you're close enough.
You're definitely there.
Yeah, and it was just a lot of hyperbole from everyone about each other and what was going on and what the solutions were. And I don't think anyone really had the right ideas. How could you? But everyone was so confident that they did. And I don't know, it was just a lot. I had to turn my phone off for a long time at the end of the year there, which was, cannot recommend that more.
Yeah, I think we all have to take those moments, or at least get out and walk in the fresh air and try and open your mind a little bit to other things, right? But that was a couple of years ago, and now the world is a perfect place and everybody's getting along fine, right? You're gonna have plenty more songs to write.
It's crazy because with the situation in Ukraine developed over really started to hit the news cycle about a week, maybe 2 weeks before we had planned to release Andromeda, which is by far our darkest, heaviest song. And I think Russia invaded on the 24th. I don't remember the exact, maybe that week. And it was right before we released Andromeda a couple weeks ago. And I couldn't think of a more fitting doomsday song than Andromeda to suit the mood of the world in that moment, because it was just very very apocalyptic in that moment. So
yeah, and I think with this kind of music, if you're feeling angry and confused and all these things about the world, sometimes it's just good to listen to something which makes you think, well, I'm not the only one,
right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it's important music. And that's, if you're anything like me, that's what music has meant to me a lot throughout my life. Is like people say, oh, why do you listen to sad songs? that's not going to cheer you up. I'm like, it kind of does, because it makes you realize that you're not the only person that feels this way. And that's sometimes that's important.
Well, and it's okay to feel that emotion too. Just kind of sit in that feeling and just be there, present in that emotion. I mean, most of the time when we're writing music, we're writing how we feel. So we're doing the exact same thing, where we're just, okay, this is how I feel. This is what I want to get out. This is what I'm letting out of my, out of the box and display it. And that's why it's great to be playing with these guys, because we all are pretty open about how we approach songs, so we can actually let the emotion out.
Right. And have you got to play these songs in front of people much?
Not yet.
Not yet.
First show is April 21st.
Okay.
The very first show. Yeah. Like, it's
So
going to be.
The EP will be out 3 weeks before that.
Yep.
Do you have anything planned around the release?
Just our show is our big plan. These two guys actually are betrayers, and they moved away from DC. I'm just kidding. It was very, very good moves on both of them, but they moved away right basically as we finished EP. Life, you got to do what you got to do, and more power to you guys for sure. And but what does that mean? We can't practice or play shows whenever we want, so we have to basically pick and choose our moments. So we're going to be spending the weeks leading up to that show rehearsing the hell out of it, and we want to put together a really good show. We're going to have visuals, and it's going to be very thoughtful. That's the kind of vibe we want to put together, because it's going to be such a unique, or not a rare occurrence when we play a couple times a year, maybe for now. Hopefully, we will definitely, we would love
how
to do
big
more.
We get.
Yeah.
I'll fly out anywhere. That's not a problem.
Right. Well, I think as Naveed said earlier, when we first started this, Naveed and I specifically said to each other, and then of course when Hobbs and or Steve and then Hobbs joined, the understanding was that we were taking it very seriously. This wasn't, it was fun, it was important to us, but it was more than that. We were being very deliberate in everything we did. Everything was, we would practice at least once a week, and we were there for hours, and we weren't really just hanging out. We were working that whole time. And I think in a similar sense, one of the reasons it's taken a little bit, what feels like a little bit longer, but really doesn't, the last 2 years have just disappeared, is that we were very deliberate, throughout that whole process are we sure these are the songs that we want to record? What do we say? What do we want to do with this? And then what's our plan afterward? And, the prolonged just state of the world with COVID and 2021 really turning into another really down year where there weren't going to be opportunities to play out much anyway. We haven't really had the opportunity to cross that bridge yet, but I think we would all be super on board to get on a tour if it, for the right time and place, for the right tour.
Okay.
So in a dream scenario, who would you love to go on tour with, where you think you would enjoy the tour, but their fans would love what you do?
I mean, I can answer the first. I was going to say Deftones is the one that I would love. I would love to hang out with Chino, play the shows. That's my dream. I'm there.
Apparently they have an opening for a bass player.
I did see that.
We did talk about it in our band chat.
Now's your time. Chino is what an inspiration to me for sure. Deftones, no doubt about it. God, I love them. I think of who else. Deafheaven, I think their fans would probably dig us. Alcest.
Holy Fawn. I'm thinking of current bands between Cult of Luna and Holy Fawn. Deafheaven for sure. Yeah. I mean, those
are Thursday or Circa Survive, any bands like that. I think there's a lot of crossover.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I want to ask you individually, what do you think is the album that you've listened to more than any other in your life? Who wants to start?
I can tell you mine.
And
Kid A.
Don't be embarrassed if it's like Britney Spears.
No, I think it's Kid A or In Rainbows. If I had to guess, either one of those two.
Definitely the Backstreet Boys CD I got in a Happy Meal in like 2000 or 2000. Yeah.
There you go.
I think realistically, Sunny Day Real Estate, how it feels to be something on, I think I'd probably, spin that record in full multiple times a year, which is more than I do most other music, I think. Or Smashing Pumpkins is up there too. Yeah.
Hey, that's a good one.
Which Smashing Pumpkins album?
Gish.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Siamese Dream would be up there for me for sure.
For sure, yeah, that's incredible. I think Gish was the first one that I had on CD as a kid, and I had this, just on a Walkman and just would listen to it, or whatever they call the CD players.
I'm old enough to have seen them on that tour.
Oh man!
And they actually played the club that I worked behind the bar at.
Oh, nice!
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
400 people. Yeah,
that's amazing.
The advantage of being old.
Right time, right place.
Yeah, I'd say probably my two were Muse Absolution, and then Queens of the Stone Age Songs for the Deaf. Those are probably the two.
Cool.
With maybe the if I'm going to say a Backstreet Boys, Weezer Blue Album. That's the other one.
That's your Backstreet Boys album.
Yeah, that's why I am so far away from pop that's my poppiest thing I listen to.
Okay, I can see that. Cool. And what about you? Like you've mentioned a couple of kind of newer names, but is there any bands that we might not have heard of that you particularly want to shout out that you're excited about?
I will always give a shout out to Idiot Pilot. I don't know if you know them, but I'm obsessed with that band. I saw them on like MTV2 when I was a little, I don't know, like 14 or something. And they were young. And I think they had this really unique blend of like electronics and heaviness and guitar work. And I think they cited Deftones and Pumpkins as influences, and like Aphex Twin. It was right up my alley. Wow. And I hadn't heard anything as great. It was like beauty and just chaos. Yeah. And they kind of blew my mind, and everything they've done I'm just obsessed with. But I think, I don't know, they don't put out a lot of music, but I love them.
I need to go and check them out a bit more.
I'll use one to more check out, and I'm sad that they're not a band anymore. Year of the Rabbit is one that I wish that Ken Andrews would redo. It was right after he left Failure. I think it was he left and he joined I think it was from somebody from Shiner. Him and those two got together and made a band, Year of the Rabbit, and did it for 1 year. And so that is a great album. And I really wish you would get back together and at least do some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's one I don't know. So yeah, thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
I got to give they're not a band anymore. They're in a new band, but Black Clouds, at one point we were Black Clouds. They're two, I'm friends with a couple of them, and Ross, the bass player at the time, was like an older brother to me, and we worked together at the same bar. He actually hired me. They're in a band called Burial Waves now, him and Jimmy. But Black Clouds, yeah, they were. I was doing lights for them right around the time. I started doing lights for them right around the time that Naveed and I met, and they just opened my eyes to post rock, post metal. I don't even really know how to categorize them. They're kind of like God is an Astronaut meets Pelican, but instrumental. They just completely changed how I thought about music as a musician, as a guitar player, and what a live show can look like and what it should do. They were pretty.
I actually saw the drummer in that band, Jimmy's band, previous band, Solar Powered Sun Destroyer, in college. And they were always like, they blew my mind back then. And that opened up my mind to like the local scene. So it's kind of funny how, and they're not like much older than us, but, and I call them my friends now, but it was, it's weird how like the same group of people kind of in a way brought us together.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that.
I would add one more to Times Columns.
You'll like Time Columns. Yeah.
Okay.
They're amazing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you guys. I played with them a whole bunch, but they're actually the person who mixed and he didn't master. Sorry, he mixed and recorded us. He's the lead guitarist for that band.
Okay.
They're phenomenal. They're especially like live. They're one of the. I remember going to one of their shows and just like looking at his pedal board, and I'm like, "Come on, dude!" Like
they're
usually
so
I'm the one that has
yeah.
the coolest pedal board. Like, come on.
They're so good.
So the EP is coming out. You've got this one show that you're gonna be playing end of April, and then what? Do you have plans beyond that? And do you have new music that you're working on constantly, or how does it work?
Yes. Yep. Plans are, we're in the process of recording our next round of songs. TBD on what that will be, what the project will be. But we have 4 basically started. And drums are all recorded. And one of the songs, guitars are recorded. So it's happening, and that'll sort of be I know as of right now, it almost feels like sort of like a companion piece to these songs, but that might change. We don't know. And Distance. We started writing these songs when we were all in the room together, and so they're sort of done in that way. But we're very open to like the flow of things, and if this Distance makes recording or makes the writing process different, like so be it. We'll ride that wave and see how it goes, and we'll kind of see what new material comes out of that. But yeah, we really just want to play some shows and put together maybe some more videos. We really love visuals. Like, I mean, that's a big part of
that.
Yeah. So we're like, it just makes it, I don't know, when I'm at a show or when I get to like drown myself in a vibe like that, it just makes everything better. And we really wanted to do that. So we might do something like that where we can't put a show together, but maybe we'll put together some sort of performance piece, live video, or some sort of something. We don't know. We'll see.
Cool. Yeah. I guess that's one of the things that's come out of this period of time, is that people are thinking differently about how they're going to get their music out there and how they're going to be represented, so it makes it interesting. It's not always ideal, but at least it's different, and people are still thinking about it. So,
well, just to add to that, we because of we'd been playing together for a year, and then the pandemic, Naveed and I, at least, and Hobbs had just joined, and then it was like March 2020, everything shut down. And so we didn't get together for a long time, just like everybody else. And I think during that time, and even afterward, when we were recording the demos for this EP that were, the Beasts of the Future Decay, we were sending files back and forth. And that, it changed the way that we started to think about demoing our songs, demoing ideas, putting ideas down, either recording them, into Ableton or whatever, software we're using, and then sending them out. And then Hobbs, we've done this now, even since we finished recording. It's Hobbs will put an idea down and send it out, and I'll put it in my system, put an idea down, send it back out. And it's almost a more sophisticated way of writing, in a way that, avoids some of the like time sucks of live jamming, which we would just do for hours, which was amazing. I miss that.
Oh, I miss it so much.
We had a lot of jam sessions where it was just like, okay, well, we're just going to go with this idea. Wait, we didn't practice anything.
But you never know what might come out of that.
Exactly.
Sometimes that's where things are born, right?
Always.
It's where Andromeda came from. It's where Andromeda came from, one of those.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you do next, because like I say, I've loved everything you put out so far.
We really appreciate that. Big time.
Thank you.
It means a lot.
Yeah, I hope that you do get on the road at some point and maybe make it up north where I am.
Would love that.
Montreal.
Would love that. Nothing more.
Where are you? You're in?
I sound like I might be in England, but I'm in Montreal.
Montreal. Okay.
Nice.
I would love to play Montreal. Yeah. Sick.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the bands that you mentioned. I've seen here. I was meant to see Deafheaven last week, but they cancelled. Well, it's been really nice talking to you. Thanks for spending some time with me. And
thank you so much for reaching out to us.
Yeah, and
thanks for having us.
Good luck with everything. And maybe we'll talk in real life when you get on tour.
That would be amazing.
With Deafheaven,
awesome.
Whatever it is.
And we really enjoy your channel. Thanks for doing this. It's cool to hear people
thanks, man.
talk.